Hello there you guys, welcome to another one of my live videos. And Manchester United have just drawn 0-0 with Crystal Palace at Old Trafford. Yet again, another bad, terrible result, as I said. And now, considering the board now need to react fast, do the board, as we all currently know. I've just seen, glanced at some of the highlights and YouTube of the game. And now, Mourinho said he wants to get he wants the top four by January. Now it's looking very unlikely. Now with City winning today by 4 goals to West Ham, Liverpool winning comfortably 3-0 at Watford, we now sit currently 14 points behind Manchester City, 12 points behind Liverpool, with 6 points behind Tottenham, but they play at 5:30, and we're currently 7th in the league. Bournemouth, I think, play tomorrow as well. So potentially what is going on at Manchester United, because usually these are the games Manchester United need to win. We've seen it so many times this season where we've dropped points at Old Trafford. As I said, we've dropped loads of points this season. We lost at West Ham, we lost at Brighton. You know, we was lucky to win at Bournemouth. We produced a late comeback against Bournemouth. We should have won at Chelsea. Was lucky to win at Newcastle, as I said, regardless of that result, Mourinho was going to be sacked, as I said, and it did say the board were backing him. They're reportedly going to give him tens of £1 million spend in January, but now the board need to currently react fast. This Manchester United squad just like the lost of ideas, can't string passes together, so much of a boring team to watch, and I'm going to be honest, can't string passes through, can't drive forward, no penetration is lacking in the final third, as you've seen. Today in that game, and Palace could have gone away in that game with 3 points because their matches everywhere in that game, because we still remain 21 games unbeaten against Crystal Palace. 20 league games unbeaten against Crystal Palace. Last time lost them was 1991, and potentially the first. We haven't lost them in all competitions since 2011, but potentially Palace could have won today. Palace are an awful side. They're near the bottom of the table. Won 2 games all season of Crystal Palace. As I currently said, and something needs to change at Manchester United. We all know last season we did double of them. Fellaini scored twice in that 4-0 victory against Crystal Palace last season. As I said, Jose Mourinho, he went with a lineup. Obviously, we know that he put De Gea in that. He put Ashley Young. He gave Darmian a start at the right back position. He went Lindelof and Smalling centre back partnership. Put Ashley Young on the left back, due to Luke Shaw's absence. In the midfield, he went with Matic. For me, he should start Matic, as we do keep saying. Pogba was there. And the attacking three, he went with Lingard on the right, Mata in that number 10 middle, Martial on the left, and Romelu Lukaku were up front, as I said. But what's going on, as I said, because there's just no passion or creators in that Manchester United team. So potentially now Jose Mourinho will be under so much pressure, as I said. But going into the game, some of the stats I've just read up, Manchester United, I think Man United was about 13 to 12 shots or something like that. I think Manchester United created 10, Crystal Palace created 9, but I think there were 2 disallowed goals in the game as well. Man United we had chances. We had a few chances through Martial. I think Jesse Lingard had 3 chances where the Crystal Palace keeper had to make a couple of saves. But Crystal Palace had a couple of big chances of their own. Andy Townsend had a couple of decent chances for them. I think the best chances Palace had was Andy Townsend and Hoylett as well. Hoylett had a couple of big chances for them. Crystal Palace as well. Defensively, we're shocking. As I said, there's no creativeness. We're not showing anything at all. And I think now it's time for the board to react. Would you trust Jose Mourinho with this money in the January transfer window? As I said, potentially Martial had a couple of opportunities as well. I only watched some of the highlights, so I can't give you a full reaction of the whole game. Potentially for me, when have Manchester United ever been in this position just before Christmas? We're sitting 7th. We're sitting 14 points from top. We're sitting 14 points from top, 6 points behind top 4, and Tottenham not even played yet till they play Chelsea at 5:30. Since when have you ever seen a Manchester United team sit in this current position? We didn't even have this bad a start under Moyes or Louis van Gaal. So what's potentially going on? I think Mourinho really needs to think long and hard about what he's doing. He came out criticising for the players, as it confirmed in a Spanish interview with currently the ex-Barcelona player criticising them. He was saying the lack of character, the lack of personality, the lack of matureness, and this is what he said it about Lingard, Martial, Rashford, and Luke Shaw, did Jose Mourinho. We did have chances in the game. Crystal Palace had also chances of their own, and I just think the performances aren't good enough. Jose Mourinho's style of play, Manjalo's style at this club is just not suiting him. I think the strappings of this club is just too high for Mourinho. He is getting old now. In the second half, he did bring substitutions on. He did bring Sanchez. I think he brought Sanchez on, he brought Rashford on, and he brought Marouane Fellaini on as well. But potentially, again, didn't bring Fred on. He's got £50 million there again, sitting on the bench. Why didn't Jose Mourinho bring Fred on? Like we said back in the Manchester derby, why did he not bring Fred on, Jose Mourinho? I said he could have given Pereira the chance. He needs to drop Nemanja Matic to Jose Mourinho. We know he has a good relationship with him and disputes with the top players. And there's a lot of people frustrated why he will not drop Nemanja Matic to Jose Mourinho, because there's no tempo to his play. He doesn't create in that midfield. As we all know, we know he didn't go with Herrera today. As we all know, he's been making substitute appearances this season. So what's going on at Manchester United? I just don't know what's going on. We look off for ideas. We can't string passes together properly. We're lacking in the final third. We can't take his chances. Potentially, Lukaku, basically up front, potentially he's a big game bottler, doesn't have much tempo to his play. So how's he really going to scare oppositions if he hasn't got much tempo to his play? He hasn't been in great form this season, hasn't scored yet against, and that's now 11 Premier League goals without a 11 Premier League games without a goal for Lukaku. And potentially, that's 11 games now without a goal from Lukaku. And potentially, it's not looking very, very good at Manchester United. So where Mourinho said he wants top 4 by the end of the season, it also said there'd been 2 disallowed goals, as I mentioned. I think we had disallowed goal. I think also, was it just before half-time, Crystal Palace had the disallowed goal as well. I think that was from free kick or something like that. But I think Manchester United also had a disallowed goal as well. I've only watched some of the highlights, so I can't really comment. Potentially, it was good to see Darmian get back in the team. He's hardly played this season, and we potentially could see players going in January. Mourinho wants to get a central defender in, and we definitely need another attacker as well. So Mourinho, basically, as I said, he has got a good pedigree. He's proven in the Premier League, but this is his 3rd season now with Manchester United, and he's only won 3 trophies. He's only won the League Cup, the Europa League, and I think now the board needs to stop backing Jose Mourinho. Regardless of Newcastle result, he was going to be sacked. Then we went on a good run of form, then lost to City. Now we've dropped points at Old Trafford against Crystal Palace, and this is not good to see. So the board needs to stand firm with Jose Mourinho. Reportedly, Ed Wood was going to give him this money for January. For me, we've got to get Champions League. We've got to get top 4 this season, Champions League for next season, or Jose Mourinho's job is really under threat. And I think now they've got to toughen up against Jose Mourinho and basically tell him to leave the club. So basically now the board needs to stop backing Mourinho now, and then now they really do need to react. It's going to be interesting to see what he says in his current interview. We'll be reading that up as well. But potentially Palace could have walked out there with 3 points today. They really, really could. Townsend could have scored. And Hoyland, whatever they're calling, could have scored. Also, too, Wilfred Zaha could have also scored as well. I think he just had a chance that went wide. Potentially, Manchester United, I just think a lot of these players just do not want to play for Jose Mourinho, and that's what we're getting the impression of. Because basically, obviously, we had bad under David Moyes. David Moyes, we finished 7th under David Moyes, so that was the worst era I've seen. But we didn't even have this bad a start, to a season like we had bad this start to a season with David Moyes than we are now. Last season, totally comparison to this season, we finished 2nd last season. We was winning more games than we are this season at this stage, and we was keeping clean sheets. And this season, we are not doing it. The only good thing is we've kept a clean sheet. It's the 2nd clean sheet we've kept all season, but no fucking win. And that's the Kevin problem in this situation, guys. Luis Zaha's been back in Mourinho. He feels about Mourinho, the pedigree and history he's got. He can turn it around at this club, and I think Mourinho's had far too long now. This is his 3rd season. It's all like year 1 again when he's coming in to experience the newer era at Old Trafford, getting used to the players and that. Mourinho now is used to this club because this is his 3rd season. And I just think the players are to blame and he's to blame as well. But potentially they did. He needs to drop Matic. He didn't start Mata against Manchester City. He started Mata today. He didn't start Sanchez against City. He didn't start Sanchez today, but he did bring Alexis Sanchez on in the game. For me, Fred again, he sat on the bench, £50 million. He won't be happy about this, Fred. And why doesn't Mourinho give him a chance? He paid £50 million for him. or give Pereira the chance. And why is Mourinho not doing this? Potentially for me, he needs to get the 11 right. Potentially at least bring Fred on. If you don't start him, bring him on. He didn't even bring Fred on in that game, Jose Mourinho. And Crystal Palace are a team that before they're the relegation zone, they've only won 2 games all season. Last season they didn't even score in there for 7 games. They were winless. They're winless now in 8 games. Before this game, they were winless in their last 7 games. And potentially, this is what's costing us points. And we need to really look at reality. Just for me, we've spent a lot of money. Mourinho spent under £400 million since he's come to the club. Potentially, we've had, since Fergie's left, we've had 3 different managers, different philosophies, different styles of play. And potentially, it's not looking very, very good. As I said, and I think Mourinho, the board have got to toughen up now on Mourinho and stand their ground. I think Mourinho now potentially needs to go. I don't think this club's suiting him. I think if we do keep Mourinho, regardless who he brings in, I wouldn't trust him with the money. And we just potentially need to get a new manager and then get a new manager to come in to suss out if he thinks, the majority of these players are good enough for Manchester United. And I just don't think the players are playing for Jose Mourinho. But what another bad performance again. We're boring to watch. Presumably we're not even in the top 10 now. We're nowhere near on the same level as City. We're nowhere near on the same level as Liverpool. Liverpool won comfortably 3-0 away from home. Klopp's got a good pedigree, Borussia Dortmund. He spent just under £400 million, 6 transfer winners. Liverpool have got world-class players in their team. Same with Manchester City. You can't even compare. You look at the difference, you can't even compare at this moment in time Jose Mourinho to Pep Guardiola or Jurgen Klopp. Pep Guardiola has emulated the football he did with Barcelona and Bayern Munich. He took it now to Manchester City. They've won away from home by 4-0 of Manchester City. And he spent a hell of a lot of money as Pep Guardiola. But Pep Guardiola, at this moment in time, is a much more better manager than Jose Mourinho is at Manchester United. I think Mourinho is an embarrassment at this club at this moment. With how many games I've won away from home all season? 3 games away from home. And we're lucky we're not in a lower position because Bournemouth, we were lucky to win at Bournemouth. We won that 2-1. We were lucky to win at home against Newcastle. We had to come back from 2-goal deficit. Chelsea, fair enough, we should have won that. Other games we were lucky in. We won at Watford 2-1. Start of the season against Leicester at Old Trafford, we was lucky to win that. Who else? Potentially, we've been lucky in a lot of games this season to win games. The performances, Jose Mourinho's style of play just doesn't suit this club, and I think he needs to leave this club now because potentially we're nowhere near on the same levels as these top teams. So we need someone else to come in, give someone else the money to spend in January or next summer, and see who we can get in and see who needs to be sanctioned off out of this team as well. Because potentially we was lucky Crystal Palace did not win that game today, and I think, in my opinion, the way the performances are going at the moment, we've got Liverpool and Arsenal coming up soon. I can't see who's winning that. Mourinho's always been criticised at playing defensively against big teams since being United manager. Did it against City. He'd done it against Liverpool last season at Anfield. And potentially we've got Arsenal at home coming up. I know we beat them in the David Moyes era, but where we're playing, I can't see who's winning that. I can't see who's winning against Liverpool. So I might as well just say, we're in this position before Christmas. Any of you ever known Manchester United being in this position before Christmas? We are nowhere near top 4. We are absolutely miles away from the top. Manchester City are 14 points clear of Manchester United right now. And for me, I think the board need to react, get Mourinho out of this club. We know there's been discussions about him potentially, if he leaves, about Zinedine Zidane reportedly coming in. He's got a good pedigree with Madrid, also played for Madrid in his senior career and Juventus and Bordeaux. Potentially there has been talks, there's been discussions with his representatives about coming in. We know PSG and Bayern Munich have also showed an interest because Bayern Munich are not satisfied with their manager. There's been talks about potentially Conte coming in to replace Jose Mourinho. He's got a good pedigree in the Premier League. He won title Premier League in his first season with Chelsea, as we all know. And as I said, he's managed Juventus, Atlanta. He's played for Juventus in his senior career as well as Conte. And potentially for me, there's been talks that United fans want Laurent Blanc in the club. I don't know much about Laurent Blanc, but there's a lot of United fans that would like to see him come in. But for me, I've never really said about being Mourinho out. But the way this team's going now, we're just not the team we used to be. And And I just think we're going to get worse and worse and worse as Jose Mourinho, as Jose Mourinho as manager at this club. And I think now it's time to get him out of the club. This is his third season. The history of this club, the 3 decades, we had nearly 3 decades of success we had with Alex Ferguson and Mourinho's history. The expectation levels would have been win the Premier League title or at least be up there competing. And we are definitely not up there competing. We are nowhere near up there, and I don't think the way it's going, we are even going to get top 4 this season. I said presumably the money that's been put into that squad, it's good enough to at least get top 4, but I just don't think they're gelling properly together. As I said, and Mourinho's had disputes with Pogba, he had disputes with Luke Shaw last season. What he just said in his recent interview, he's criticised 4 young players. As I said, don't think he meant it in a nasty way though, but I think both are to blame as well. Since when with Fergie we'd lose 4, 5, or 6 at most a season. We've already lost 4 this season. We could have lost more. We could have lost today. And potentially, we are at least, I think, 2 or 3 years at least off winning the Premier League title. And that is currently my opinion, because we are nowhere near as good as Liverpool this season. Liverpool's football is amazing. They've got world-class players. Manchester City's football's absolutely brilliant to watch. I'll be honest, they've got fantastic players. A lot of money's being invested there. We spent a lot of money, but the team's not gelling. We're not playing the football that we should be playing. We're not scoring enough goals. We're conceding far too many goals this season, especially. We haven't conceded today, but we was lucky we didn't lose that game today. We got out of jail. We really were lucky. We had chances of his own, but we didn't take us. I think potentially we're lacking in the final third. Midfield's not good enough in my opinion. Defensively, we're awful. Right-hand side, I think the right-hand side is getting exploited far too easily as well. So I think that needs addressing. And potentially for me, I want another man to come into Manchester United to sort this team out. To see if the majority of these players are good enough, whether it be Conte, Zinedine Zidane, Laurent Blanc. I want a new manager in this club, as I currently said, because before Mourinho came in, I thought he was going to do such a good job at United, considering the history he had with being Premier League. But he just hasn't done it. It doesn't always mean if you've got a good pedigree, you're gonna achieve at another club. It doesn't always work like that. But Pep Guardiola's got a good pedigree. He's doing fantastic work. Best team now in English football. Historically, it's still Manchester United, but history, it's history now. It's now that matters. And I'm really concerned that we're not up there challenging as we should be. Lukaku's in terrible form. Hasn't scored 9-10 games. I think he had an offside goal. I think something like that. I didn't watch the game because it wasn't on, but I've just glanced at the highlights. And for me, the board need to react now to Jose Mourinho. Potentially, we know he's got targets for the January window. He's got Toby Alderweireld. He's got Harry Maguire. He's got a few midfielders he's interested in. He wants to go for an attacker as well. But for me now, I'm a bit annoyed. I would now not give Jose Mourinho his money, in my opinion. Get him out of the club. Get a new manager in the club. And then let Ed Woodward give whoever the new manager is the money to spend on players, and then see how this new manager, because Mourinho is just being given far too much time. It'll be interesting to see how he reacts to this result, Jose Mourinho. We did have chances of his own. I think there was 12 to 13 chances. I think Man United created 10, Palace created 9. Man United had 57% of possession, Crystal Palace had 3, but we were lucky today. Crystal Palace played well, Zaha played well for them, the ex-Man United player Townsend played well for them, and Holt, whatever you pronounce his name, played well for Crystal Palace today as well, and potentially, Hennessy had to make saves for them, David De Gea had to make saves to Manchester United. I thought Doylett didn't start today. Obviously, he still suffered a knock injury, so he hasn't made his Premier League debut yet. It was good to see Darmian start. Ashley Young obviously played at fullback due to Luke Shaw's suspension. And potentially for me, Lukaku's in the past had a good scoring record against Palace, so too with Juan Mata. And for me, what is going on at this club, because Old Trafford back in the Fergie days used to be a fortress, no team could win there or even get a draw there hardly, because we were just such a good team back in the day, and we're just not the same team now. And we know this team is not comparable to the Fergie days. We know there's still some players here from the Fergie days, as I said. But what's going on? We saw, Mourinho's obviously got 11 players in his sanction, 14 off. He's still inheriting some of Van Gaal's players. He got 12 in, 6 went off, as I said. And the money we've spent since Fergie has gone. It just hasn't worked out. We haven't
being competitive in the Premier League, hardly. Champions League, we ain't got a cat in hell's chance of winning that because, we're just not a good enough side. And essentially for me, I think now it's time for a change in this club. I think Mourinho needs to leave. I want the board now to, stand up. Now the board do need to react to this and just basically tell Jose Mourinho, I just don't think you suit the trappings of this club, as I currently said. So what do you think to the result, Manchester United against Crystal Palace? To me, not good enough. The players are just not performing. You get fans going week in, week out, spending hard-earned cash on this club. You get 76,000 fans at Old Trafford week in, week out, and they're not seeing the money's worth. They're not seeing the money's worth at all because the performances were lack of ideas. No, we're not energetic. We seem to play backwards a lot, and that team just looks totally clueless. So potentially for me, and the performances have just not been good enough this season at all. Juventus in the Champions League was lucky to win that. Very, very lucky to win that as well. Essentially for me, something needs changing in this Manchester United squad. Whether we need to get rid of quite a lot of players and bring some new players in, or we get rid of Mourinho or get a new manager in. I do basically not no But yeah, I'm really getting really, really frustrated about this now. I really, really am. We know Martial's been in good form as well. He's been our best player this season. Let's be honest. He had chances of his own today. He had two chances. Lingard could have got his name on the score sheet. He had three chances. But it's just basically not good enough. You've got to take your chances. And the performances need to improve as well. But as I said, I only got a glance of the highlights, read a couple of reports of the reaction. Crystal Palace reportedly had the two best chances, Anhal and the Townsend as well. And Palace are a woeful side. Woeful side. They've only won two games all season, and you'd have thought Manchester United would have won that, even though considering we haven't played well. You'd thought Manchester United at Old Trafford with the players we've got would have beat Crystal Palace, and now we've got young boys Tuesday in the Champions League. I think Manchester United will win that anywhere, so that'll be Champions League. That'll be Champions League qualification. But I'm not too confident, and knockouts for February in the Champions League. Won't last in the Champions League anywhere. We're already out of the League Cup. We got knocked out by Derby. Then we've got Southampton away next week, which is not going to be an easy game. Then we've got Arsenal Liverpool coming up. We can't even compare ourselves to them at the moment because they're in much, much better form than us. And Tottenham Chelsea. So if Tottenham win at 5:30, Chelsea I think are third out there. If Tottenham win at 5:30, they go 9 points clear of Manchester United, and that's 9 points behind top four. But now we're 14 points behind Manchester City, as I said. So basically we're at least a few years off the league. So I think there's time for a change now. I have backed Mourinho when he's been right, but now I am giving him criticism. I'm also blaming the players as well for not performing as well. You can't just blame the manager. You can also put the blame on the players as well. So potentially we're going to get rid of players. We're going to try and get players in, but I really, now, in my opinion, I wouldn't trust Jose Mourinho with his tens of £1 million he's getting in the January window as well. We are the most successful club in English football historically. Under Fergie, we used to have bad games, but we used to just knew under Fergie we had bad games, but we had great players. Them comebacks, them late equalisers, and we just knew how to win games because that fear factor was there, that confidence was there under Alex Ferguson. Since then, we've lacked confidence, no momentum. There's no momentum. There's no momentum at all. There is no creativeness in the team. We can't string passes together. Against Manchester City, we was all over the place against Manchester City. Mourinho went defensively. Why is Mourinho not starting Fred? Why didn't he at least bring Fred on in the game? I just don't understand. He's paid £50 million and he's sitting Fred on the bench, and this is what I really don't understand, guys. And potentially, for me, Louis Saha believes, he said the other day on Sky Sports, Louis Saha actually believes that Martial has got a great platform to help this team win silverware. But my opinion, he's a great young player. But I think at this moment, the way we're playing, as Mourinho's been as manager, I don't think we will push ourselves forward. We won't graduate to that higher level. And yeah, and that's just the way it is, I'm afraid. So yeah, there will be more live videos coming up very, very soon. As I said, drop your comments, likes on the channel. If you do consider subscribe, as always, and take care. God bless, guys, and I'll see you all again very soon. Bye.